everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. So we are gonna sit down today and talk about the burpee. So I've kind of hinted here and there across all platforms that I'm not the biggest fan of burpees, but today we're gonna sit down and I'm going to explain exactly what my opinion is. In addition to my opinion, we are gonna talk about these three things: where the burpee originated from, my issue with it, and then some alternate exercises if you also do not like burpees. So let's jump on in. So the history of the burpee. So I shit you not, these are named after a guy named Royal H. Burpee. So he actually created the burpee in 1939. He was a PhD candidate at Columbia University, and part of his research was about how to determine a person's physical fitness. So essentially, he was creating a fitness test. And the burpee originated just as a sprawl. So there was no push-up and there was no jump originally in it when Dr. Burpee created them. So again, I think it's important to note that he was not creating an exercise, he was creating a fitness assessment. So the burpee was just part of his research and it was kind of left there until we entered World War II. Essentially, the Army kind of grabbed this burpee as part of their physical fitness assessment for people to join the Army. It became part of their test, and I believe this is where the push-up and the jump were added in. But once again, this was a fitness assessment. Now, this whole section is gonna be just my opinion. My opinion is backed in science and backed in experience, but just remember, if you enjoy burpees, do them. The best movement for you is the movement that makes you happy, makes you feel good, and the movement that can keep you consistent. But now, let's get into my side of things. Okay, so there's two topics I kind of want to touch on here. The first one is from a functional standpoint. So if we're just thinking functionally, like what does this mimic that we do in daily life? I think definitely parts of it are very functional, but the burpee itself, like with all of those movements strung together, I can think of like maybe some athletes, like hockey players, especially goalies. If you have to like, I don't know, what do goalies do? They like block the puck thing and then, yeah. We just rewatched All the Mighty Ducks, so I should know more terminology about hockey. And like maybe baseball, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of like when you would jump up and then jump down and push yourself back up and jump back up. Like, I don't know. If you can think of other examples, definitely leave them in the comments below. But the point that I'm trying to make is that most people are not athletes. Most people do not do anything in their daily life that look like this. So just simply from a functional training standpoint, I don't think that it is the best endurance-based exercise that we can choose. So then the other viewpoint I take is from an actual performance standpoint. If you can't do each individual part of this exercise with proper form, why would you string it all together to increase the intensity? And so what is each section? It's like a jump, and then a squat, a sprawl, a plank, a push-up, and then I guess like a pop jack to get back up, right? And I know that that is super broken down, but I just wanna look at it that way so you can see just how intricate this movement is. And again, thinking back to, it's a fitness assessment. They were looking to see if you can hit all of these exercises right in a row and do it a lot for endurance. And I know that you're probably thinking,
everyone can do all of those things. Everyone can do a squat. Everyone can do a plank.
I beg to disagree. So again, this is from my personal experience now, working one-on-one with a lot of clients and working in group fitness settings, and the list goes on and on. This is not a slight to anybody that I have worked with, but most people, when they come to see me, cannot do a proper squat, do not know how to set up their plank and actually engage their core, and cannot do a push-up. And I'm not trying to say that I'm like God's gift to clients who want to do movement patterns better. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that nowadays we get so hung up on ramping up the intensity so that we sweat more and so that we feel like we worked harder before we master the basics. So if you do want to perform excellent burpees, here's what I think you need to master first. You need to have an excellent jump squat. You need to have a sprawl with core engagement, AKA your low back does not dip down. You need to have a shoulder safe push-up. And you need the hip mobility to jump your feet forward and actually land on your heels and not just the ball of your feet, so you are driving in and using the posterior chain in addition to the quads. And if you do not have all four of those things, personally, I do not think that you should be doing burpees. Okay, so the last thing here. Look, again, a burpee is a great test of your mobility, your endurance, your relative strength, but it may not be the right exercise for everybody. So if you are looking for other exercises that are a little more functional, still test your endurance, I've got a few recommendations for you. So my number one here is skaters. Any of my clients know that these are always in classes, these are always in on-demand workouts, and it's because it's an excellent, excellent exercise. So the way that I do them is actually, it's more like a lateral bound because we are a little bit more upright, but honestly, like tomato, tomato, you're jumping side to side. So the reason why I really like these is because we are moving in the frontal plane, working side to side, which is super, super functional. It's a unilateral movement, so meaning that we are working one side of the body and then the other. It trains a lot of stability, it trains a lot of ankle strength, and you're gonna work a lot on that glute stabilization with your landing. So the only way that you're gonna be able to balance on one leg like that and keep your hips in one position is with strong glutes, and this is a great way to help train that function. Next exercise I really like is the high knee pull. High knee pulls are not only gonna be great to get your heart rate up, so really testing your endurance, but it's gonna test your mobility and your core strength too. So I always make sure that people are getting those arms fully extended to make sure that we are working the full mobility of that shoulder up to down, and then we're also gonna test our hip mobility here. So if you have some kind of restrictive mobility with your hip flexion, you're definitely gonna see that here turning to the side because you would start to have to posteriorly rotate your pelvis or tuck your pelvis under. And then this is gonna be a great core exercise, specifically targeting a lot of the lower abs to help bring that knee up. And again, just drive it right up in line with that hip to make sure that it is not only hip flexor working, that we are also getting that core engaged as well. And then finally, we're gonna throw in a little squat to twist. So this is gonna train you in the transverse plane as well as the sagittal. So we're putting two planes of motion together. It's also gonna show you how to create more of an explosive movement. So this is accentuating the eccentric part of the squat. We're coming down slowly and lengthening and then quickly shooting up and changing directions in that moment. It's another great exercise to really get that heart rate up if you're looking for some endurance training, and it's gonna be an excellent test one more time of your hip mobility. All right, guys, so that is it. Everything that I have for you about burpees. I'm glad I finally got that all in one place because I feel like I talk about it a lot and people don't really understand why it seems like I'm shitting on the exercise. One more time, if you like doing them, you do them. If you don't do them, just know you don't have to. So I'm gonna finish my smoothie. Oh my God, that face, what was that? Ugh. Any questions? Leave them down in the comments below. If you want other specific exercises broken down or explained, let me know, and I will see you all in the next one.